With 2 games remaining, the Denver Broncos have a 6% chance of making the playoffs, and I was in a really good headspace. Got super down there for a second, and then I'd resigned myself to the fact that this thing is over. We are building for next year, and then all of a sudden, like, the good news keeps trickling in, and just like before, I see myself, like, all of a sudden believing that we could make the playoffs. I'm going to share the great news with you that has been coming in over the past couple days. Let you decide. I still am trying to guard parts of my heart, but this is looking like more of an opportunity, more of an opening than it did just a few days ago. So looking here at the New York Times playoff predictor, which have been going on over a ton this year already. And as you can see, we are at a 6% chance. This is us right here. I'll try to bump that over a bit. So we're at a 6% chance, but the Raiders, who have the same record as us and who we play in the last game of the season, have a 14% chance. So if we beat them, that really means that we could be more than a 14% chance, right? So let's look at the good news that came in. It's really trendy right now to come and say that we're hot garbage, to say that we aren't good anymore. And I read it all the time in the comments, and maybe I need to stop reading all the comments, especially from all the trolls. But the fact of the matter is that the player that we cut immediately got scooped up, just like I predicted on last night's video. I said, hey, the Broncos are saying that Kareem Jackson will be back and we'll start him our last 2 games. And I'm like, there is zero chance that a starting safety, a starting quality safety, makes it through waivers and doesn't end up on Buffalo or the Houston Texans. And we have heard, there are a couple reporters who've said multiple teams put in claims, but we know at least Houston, the place where Kareem launched his career, is signed him. And if we take a look here, some things that are interesting. I don't know if this is just something he's saying or if something he actually believes, but he says, I'm thrilled to be back with the Texans. It's all coming full circle. I've spent a lot of time in Houston. I like D'Amico and all the success he's had. I'm just happy for him. They got a bunch of young talent, and I can't wait to help these guys be a part of the puzzle and make the playoffs. So I think this was a mistake. I said it yesterday. I wished we hadn't cut him. Like, we paid him. We kept him around. We put our neck out for him. And if it wasn't for those 2 penalties, and I know that's a big but, that's like asking Mrs. Lincoln, well, if other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, what did you think of the play? Like, I know that those 2 suspensions are huge, but a lot of Pro Football Focus analysts and stuff had said this is the best football of Kareem Jackson's career. Like, he's been playing well. PJ Locke obviously is too, but there certainly is places for him in the dime. I think he'd be playing better than Mathis if we put him in. He can flex to corner. He can guard the slot. I don't know. So I'm disappointed that we did that, but I think that's great news, because what that shows is that someone that we're willing to just like let go. You hear a lot of people in the comments say good riddance. Well, if our like cast off is someone else's treasure, it does show you the kind of talent that we have. The other person that they had talked about, if we had put Kareem back on our 53, we would have had to cut someone. They didn't, because they said anyone we cut would have ended up on someone else's 53. So that's just a really good problem to have, that it's easy to crap on Broncos country right now. But the fact is that we have players that other playoff teams want. And that's clearly evidence right here. So the good news of the day, if we go to this playoff machine, I like this more than the New York Times playoff predictor. It was down for a little bit, but basically it lets you pick each week and then what happens in real time with that week. And so here is exactly how the AFC playoffs would pan out. Baltimore looked unbeatable last night against the San Francisco 49ers. What a game, what a team for sure. So if we go ahead and go out and we pick out, so we pick that the Denver Broncos are going to win our next 2 games. We're going to beat the Chargers, and we are going to beat the Las Vegas Raiders. I said it correctly. So here's what needs to happen. So with both of those things happening, we're still out of the playoffs. So what we need the Raiders to win this week, knocking the Colts out of the playoffs. Then the week after, we need the Texans We need the Colts to win to be back. So then the weird things that need to happen, which this is the good news from today, is we need the Jacksonville Jaguars to lose out. So they need to lose to the Panthers, which sounded crazy town, but the Panthers are playing better each week. While you could have gone to their game the other day for, I think the lowest ticket was like literally $5 or $6 to go to that game, and it still was completely empty. But check this out. This is crazy. Trevor Lawrence, their incredibly talented thrower of the ball, their quarterback, who, side note, when he was on the TV the other day, my wife just walked by and she's like, "Is that a man?" I said, "Yes, it is." Canceled for even asking that, young lady. And but look at this. He hurt his AC joint, right? Which is like here, which if you're a thrower of the ball, you don't want shoulder injuries. This is on his throwing shoulder. He already came back way, way early and has been hampered after a high ankle sprain. And so this is very good. I think that the Jags could lose their next game. And if he doesn't come back, they could lose out. So let's see, go back to our playoff machine. If the Jags lose out, which is losing to the Panthers and then losing the next week to who do they play? I just looked at it as I was prepping for this video. They play the Titans in Tennessee. Very, very possible that happens. And then the Ravens win here. The Chiefs are going to beat the Bengals. And just like that, the Denver Broncos are in the 7th spot. But one of the absolute crazy things here that I think maybe is more possible, I've seen people mention it in my comments, is what if the Kansas City Chiefs end up losing out, which is not that out of the question. They are going to play a tough defense with the Bengals. We know the Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs have a rivalry really that's been brewing. Do you remember when they all of a sudden they called Arrowhead, they called it Burrowhead, and that really made Mahomes mad and he played awesome. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs have really lost that locker room, and Mahomes doesn't have anyone who can catch the ball, and he has lost composure multiple times. You even see Travis Kelce spiking his helmet on the sideline at that game on Christmas Day. So if the Bengals beat the Chiefs, then the Chargers beat the Chiefs, we will be playing against the Las Vegas Raiders, and the winner of that game will be winning the AFC West. So the paths to the playoffs are not as crazy as they were before. We have a lot more to break down this week. There's a lot of rumors about Russell Wilson's long-term future in Denver, rumors about him taking pay cuts to stay here, all that and more. But as more and more developments come out, I will keep sharing good news. Good news that a team we need to lose out has their quarterback go out with a shoulder injury. Good news that a player we throw off in the scrap heap gets picked up by a playoff team. We are better than we think, and this season has turned around from 1-5. Whether or not we make the playoffs, Broncos country, things have changed around here. Playoffs are coming. It's either this year or next year. Thanks for being here for the ride. And Broncos country, let's ride.